October 30th, 2009, this is News Undies, all the news that shouldn't be news. I'm Paul Torville with these headlines. George Bush is on his way to develop the backstory he'll need for his 2020 run for the White House. Sorry, actually fight in the war on terror. No, not that George Bush. No, not that one either. George Prescott Bush, known in the family as P. He's an intelligence officer in the U.S. Naval Reserve, which will be useful since Afghanistan is landlocked and Iraq, well, you could park Iraq's entire Navy, that's ships and personnel, on the deck of a modern American aircraft carrier and still conduct normal flight operations. Just a thought, P. You could have signed up to fight when the whole thing started back in 2001. You were a strapping 25-year-old then. Just a thought. Tribo-electrification. Curse you! As the date draws nearer, it seemed appropriate to revisit the story of Ray Comfort and his butchery of Charles Darwin's masterwork. Here's me with the rest of the story. Christian evangelist, Banana Man, and Kirk Cameron puppeteer Ray Comfort has created a fallacy-packed 50-page introduction to Charles Darwin's On the Origin of Species, which will reportedly be published with the full text of Darwin's work and titled as a 150th anniversary edition. The introduction makes ad hominem attacks against Darwin himself and attempts to tie Nazi Germany's eugenics programs to Darwin's work, none of which has any bearing on the validity of Darwin's hypotheses. Comfort's plan is to distribute 50,000 copies of the book free of charge at the top 50 universities in the U.S. Some atheist activists have stated that the thing to do is just show up at the universities, snap up as many copies as possible, and rip out the 50-page introductions. Personally, I'd just as soon see Ray Comfort pay the cost of carting away the 48,000 remaindered books and having them recycled. Standing in front of an Ivy League university for some reason, I'm Paul Torville for News Undies. Thanks, me. More after this. Hey gang, it's time for celebrity birthdays once again. I got my cake hat on. Let's rock. For Saturday, October 31st, Dale Evans, dead. Michael Collins, astronaut. And Vanilla Ice Ice Baby, yo. For Sunday, November 1st, Jan David, astronaut. Lyle Lovett and Rick Allen. Ha 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 ha. For Monday the 2nd, George Boole, dead. Not alive. Dead. Get it? Harlow Shapley, dead. And K.D. Lang. For Tuesday the 3rd, Dennis Miller, Adam Ant, and Dolph Lundgren. For Wednesday the 4th, Will Rogers, dead. Kathy Griffin and Ralph Macchio, who's probably old enough to be dead, but apparently isn't. For Thursday the 5th, Roy Rogers, dead. Art Garfunkel and Bryan Adams. For Friday the 6th, Edsel Ford, dead. Jeanette Schmidt, the Austrian cross-dressing transgender whistler, dead. And Glenn Frey. That's celebrity birthdays. I'm Paul Torville and I am done. Hot Mormon Muffins is the title of a calendar produced by Chad Hardy. Who is Chad Hardy, you ask? Well, he's the guy who, in spite of being excommunicated from the Mormon Church and being stripped of his communication studies degree from BYU, duh, he was excommunicated, continues his quest to promote individuality and maybe, just maybe, sexy hotness with his weird calendars. MormonsExposed.com is the parent website for both the Hot Mormon Muffins and Men on a Mission calendars. Why Hardy would want to put a positive face on a religion which officially hates him so much as to revoke a baccalaureate degree is beyond me. Such is the power of God, I suppose. Woo! Oh, and the main website's URL can be misread as Mormon Sex Posed. So, you know, that's interesting. Ivanka Trump. Daylight saving time ends this Sunday, November 1st, so set your clocks back an hour at 2 a.m. on the 1st, which is when most bars close for Halloween night. So, you know, that should be fun. Will they close twice? Open an extra hour? What? I would imagine there's going to be lots of arrests and fines. on the 1st of November. More news coming up. You'll notice that when you watch NewsUndies, I'm always wearing a shirt from the Ursus Pacificus Kitsch Cave. Well, now you can too. You can help support NewsUndies by going to the Ursus Pacificus Kitsch Cave and getting some kitsch. In case you weren't looking, Microsoft released its latest version of its MS Windows operating system, Windows 7. Way to stick to a theme. Let's see, there was Windows, Windows 2, Windows 3, Windows 3.1, Windows 3.11, Windows NT, Windows 95, Windows 98, Windows 98 SE, Windows ME and Windows 2000, then Windows XP, Home and Pro, and then Vista with at least 7 different flavors. And now, Windows 7. Well, at least they still call it Windows, and at least it still sucks. CERN's Large Hadron Collider has been going through a series of unfortunate events which have stood in the way of the LHC being used for its fundamental mission, observing Higgs bosons. Could it be that someone is sneaking back in time to break the LHC to prevent us from actually discovering the Higgs boson because it would unleash an apocalypse unlike anything man has ever seen? Nope. It's just a very big, very complicated machine. They break sometimes. 3 weeks ago, this very show reported on a product called the Artificial Virginity Hymen, offered by an outfit called Gigimo or Gigimo. The October 9 episode of NewsUndies has racked up more than 300 views, twice as many as the next most watched episode, and easily a third of these came from searches related to the fake Hymen. I mean, is this what I have to stoop to get views? Okay. Mother Jones reports that there is a new product on the market which just might displace the Artificial Virginity Hymen as the most ridiculous product ever. It's called Linger. Care to guess what it is? Mints for your hoo-hoo! Oh, and before you start salivating, remember that these mints are made primarily of sugar, and you know what loves sugar? Want a hint? It's an active ingredient common to bread, beer, and infections. Stick around. More after this. Michael Jackson. Last year's trademark chick-do wig for Halloween was Sarah Palin's updo. This year, it looks like it'll be Kate Gosselin's schlong. No, really, that's apparently the name for the hairdo that's short in the back but long in the front. Schlong. Another name I've heard is the reverse mullet. Both seem fitting, as in spite of being the purported mother of 8 children, she seems to have just about all the sense and bravado of a Camaro-driving trailer park Casanova. And finally, and I do mean finally, we all saw this coming, didn't we? The New York Yankees get a chance at the World Series, which, from what I understand, is a pretty big deal. Yep. Okay, yep. Oh, wow. Really? 26. Well, I'm being told that the New York Yankees have in fact won the World Series 26 times in their 108-year history. Really, guys, have a seat and let someone else play. 79-year-old team owner George Steinbrenner, known for firing Billy Martin at least as many times as he hired him, is in town and expected to be on hand at the new $1.5 billion Yankee Stadium for the series. Well, that's all for this edition of NewsUndies. Remember, if you see news that shouldn't be news, email your story tips to undies@newsundies.com. Thanks for watching. Until next time, I'm Paul Torville. After that, I might be a tin of Linger mints.
Mr. Scott, I need you to beam me down to the planet. No can do, Mr. Spock. I'm Scottish, and therefore I am seated. But you are seated at the transporter console, Mr. Scott. You can do this. No, I can't, because I am also drunk.